Last week, you guys should have learned about variables and the string and integer data type. We hope you guys are comfortable with this. You should now know the difference between both data types, as well as know how to add two string variables together, as well as adding two integer variables together. Today's lesson will focus on something called methods. Java is a programming language that uses methods to divide and categorize code. In the last two lessons, you guys were just dealing with the main method. The main method is the code that gets executed first. It is surrounded by curly brackets and opens with the words public static void main string args. On top of this, you will see that this method is surrounded by another set of curly brackets, which opens up with the text public class and then whatever the name of your program is. Whatever is inside of these brackets is the bulk of your program. So what can we do in this white space? Well, we can name and create our own methods that will execute in the order we like as well. This will prove to be useful when we have a lot of repeating code. By creating methods, we are able to organize our data and make it easier to read. In addition, it basically serves as a shortcut to reference chunks of code that might need to be used more than once in your program. Instead of copying and pasting the same thing over and over again, we can save so much more time by creating methods as well as make our program neat and tidy. And now Samesh will teach you guys how to make these methods.
Alright guys, so let's get straight into it. As Jason just said, methods are essentially just shortcuts that summarizes pieces of code, and they allow us to reference methods and essentially, make our lives a lot easier when organizing our programs and, just generally, sharing pieces of code to others. So over here we have the public class with the opening bracket and closing bracket, and then we have the main method over here. And the way the main method is structured is exactly or very similarly to how we structure our own methods. So over here in this white space, between the main method and the actual class, we can ignore this package over here for now. We can name our first method. So the first thing we want to do is static void. Now what static means is essentially it belongs in this class, and you're explicitly saying that. When you say void, it basically means that you're not expecting any sort of return value, which you guys will learn much later on. And then we can name our method whatever we want. So let's say when we're at a restaurant, there's different aspects to eating at a restaurant. The first method that we might want to do is order food. So let's just call this one order food. And just a fun fact, it's in programming, it's really good to name your variables and name really anything with a lowercase in the first letter and then capital letters in the, or lowercase letters for at the start of the first word, and then for any words after that, it starts with capital letters. So I would do like lollipop, like stuff like that, you know what I mean? So static void order food, and then we put it in two brackets like this. And then we open up the curly bracket, and then as you can see now there's a lot of problems because in NetBeans, once you open up a curly bracket, it automatically assumes that now that this curly bracket is associated with this one. However, it's this curly bracket that needs to be associated with this. So literally when we just put a space, it automatically gives us a bracket for us. So it does the work for us. And just like that, we have our first method within the larger class. Alright, so now what do we do inside of this method? Well, it's pretty simple. So we can do something like, okay, well, if we want to order food, let's just say menu equals, and then we put it like the variable menu, and then we have to obviously state it first. Menu equals shrimp chicken salad, and then I put it with the semicolon. So I declared this variable, and then I say, well, system out println, and then menu. So essentially what happens in this method is I declare the variable and then I output the variable. And let's say I want to do another thing with this variable, and then I could say something like, alright, system.out println this is my order. So now we have a specific thing here, and then every time I reference this order food method, this following code will happen. So let's make another method as well. So let's say static void eat food, and then we do this. And once again, that's how easy it is to basically declare a method. And when you want to put code inside of a method, it's good formatting to, when you at the edge over here, you press tab, and then you have it kind of so it's like indented, so you can like easily see that this code is within the method. So next thing we can do is maybe, you know, eat food. All right, so system.out.println eating, and then dot. So that's another code that we can do. And then we can just easily copy and paste this and make another method if we wanted to. And we can just say buy food. And now we'll say buying. Alright, so now we have 3 separate methods as declared by these brackets over here. And when we call upon these methods, whatever code is inside of them will execute. So if we really wanted to repeat the word eating a lot of times, or if the need to actually use this code reoccurs constantly within our program, these methods are going to be really, really useful. But how exactly do we reference these methods that we've created? So that's where the main method comes into play, which is right over here. And just like we said before, whatever you put in here, that's the starter code. That's the main code that will get executed first. And what you want to put in here is literally just the names of your methods. So the first thing you want to do maybe is order food, and then we'll put the bracket, and like that. That's all you got to do. And what you're basically doing when you type this is you're telling the program, I'm going to reference the method order food, and it knows it's a method because of these 2 brackets. And then I can do the same thing for eat food, put in 2 brackets, semicolon, and then I can do buy food for this as well. And now what's going to happen, hopefully it's going to work, is that it's going to execute all 3 of these methods in this specific order. So let's run it. Yep, so it's worked. It says right here run, and it prints out shrimp chicken salad. This is my order, eating, buying, and it did it in the specific order we wanted to. And what's really useful about methods is if we wanted to kind of flip the order, and we did something with the program where we want to put one set of code before the other, it's so easy to switch it around. All you got to do is just cut it out, and then you can just put it at the end over here, press play. Now it says shrimp chicken salad, this is my order, buying first, then eating. So essentially you can play around with it, and you can do so many unique stuff within these methods. And the fact that you can easily switch them around over here with like just 3 lines of code over here, whilst like your actual program has so much stuff over here, it becomes really useful. And it even becomes more useful when you want to repeat code. So for example, you want to click buy food, and then you want to do it again, buy food, buy food, buy food. And even when, okay, we might not be able to see it properly with the buy food one because it's just 1 line, but say the order food one for example. Instead of repeating like 3 lines, we can do what we did in 3 lines in 2, or what we would do in 6 lines, we can do now in just 2 lines. So it's really useful. And then you can click play, and you can see it repeats all that time, and we didn't even have to type it, we didn't have to like copy and paste this all that many times. So that's essentially the basics of methods. Alright guys, so for your homework, I want you guys to make and practice making your own methods. So what I want you guys to do is to create 4 different methods, each with a minimum of 2 lines. And then I want you to output all 4 of your methods in an order that isn't the same way you declared them over here. So for example, if I have method 1, and then I have method 2, and then method 3, I don't want it to be like method 1, method 2, method 3. it should be like method 3, method 2, method 1, or something like that, where like you rearrange the stuff. So just do that, and inside of your 2 lines, you can, what I would suggest doing is, just outputting 2 different texts, or even just declaring a variable and then outputting that variable in the next thing. And then you can just have all the variables outputted and just take a picture of it and submit it in the Google Forms. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and hopefully you guys learned a bit in this lesson. Sorry for the little bit of the slow pace. Next week we're going to do if-else statements, and then right after that we're going to get into the good stuff like GUI and like creating real programs that will help you in like hackathons and stuff. So especially if you guys already know what Java is, and especially if you guys have programming experience, you might have found like this lesson and the past 2 lessons a bit boring. But right after next week and the week after that, we're gonna get into the good stuff and what exactly you can do with NetBeans and like all the crazy buttons and like images and like the crazy programs you can make. It's gonna be really fun, and hopefully you guys are committed. And thank you to everyone who's been submitting the homework. There's been quite a few of you guys, and trust me, there's going to be rewards and opportunities for those who do submit the homework and do actively participate in our calls, such as opportunities to become an executive for next year, as well as CAS hours and a lot more other things that can come down your line. Alright guys, thank you for paying attention to this lesson, and I'll see you guys next week.